Hello, everybody. I'm Frank Moreno. I'm speaking quietly because we tried to put my son down for a nap a little while ago, but he kept crawling out of his crib and coming downstairs. So now he's in the next room, sleeping next to my wife on the sofa. So, shh, don't say anything. So I'm going to speak softly because shortly as soon as he wakes up, we're going to head over to the Richmond County Fair and hopefully take advantage of the games and the snacks and everything that the Richmond County Fair has to offer. If you guys have been there so far already, let me know how it is. I know my mom's there now, but she's getting ready to wrap up her workday, as I understand it. But hopefully, she'll still be there around the time that we come. Couple of things. One, I gotta look. First of all, I found this lei. Thank you to whoever pointed out that it was on the shelf behind me. Thank you for that. So I'm trying to get as much use as possible out of this until my wife forces me to throw it away. Aloha. Second, um, right now, this video is being published by a software called StreamYard, which is great. It lets me have different graphics on here and all sorts of things. But I think Facebook's algorithm causes anything published by StreamYard to be suppressed. I'll give you an example. Yesterday morning, I did a great video, went all about 40 minutes. I think it was good. I mean, it was fun. And Facebook suppressed it so that only something like still more than 24 hours later, only 640 people saw the video on Facebook. More saw it on the YouTube and Instagram. Then later on, I did sort of a silly video, just pulled over somewhere, speaking into Facebook, just telling you how this video had been suppressed or the previous video had been suppressed. That video has been watched almost 4,000 times. The only explanation that I could find is Facebook allowed that one to populate people's timelines and populate the algorithm, and this one is being suppressed. So the only way to beat that attempt at Facebook suppression, because they're anti-StreamYard, is for, if you're watching on Facebook, please share this video or and click like and comment as Michael Scott Cutler did. Thank you, Michael Scott Cutler, former listener of the week, I believe. All right. The other thing is I saw a little bit of this video yesterday and it looked a little blurry. And so I thought, why is that the case? And the only thing I can think of is maybe there's dirt, the lens itself is a little dirty. So I thought to myself, should I clean it? And then I said, I'm not going to clean it because if anything, maybe it'll be like those Hollywood stars as they get older and they get some wrinkles and they're shot through a stocking or they're shot with Vaseline on the lens. I'll make it so that maybe it hides some of the sins of aging on my face. So I said, let me leave it dirty, maybe leave it a little blurry. Maybe this will be my way of kind of being shot through a stocking. So that's that. Additionally, I was looking yesterday, last we spoke, I was looking for some of the old campaign buttons that I had gotten over the years. And sometimes I don't really say I have a campaign button collection, but if I come across a vintage campaign button in a store somewhere, I'll pick it up, or sometimes people will send me it if I talk about a certain thing. I came across a button as I was cleaning up a little bit just now of someone that I was just talking about on the radio on Friday. How often doesn't that happen? Where you talk about something and then boom, something from that person comes right, front and center. Look at this. This is a campaign button from John Lindsay's campaign in 1972. John Lindsay's campaign for president. And like almost every New York City mayor, the only one in my lifetime who hasn't has been David Dinkins. Like every New York City mayor, he sought higher office, and like every New York City mayor, he was thwarted in being able to seek higher office. he ran for president in 1972. Obviously, we know what happened. The candidate that the Democrats nominated was George McGovern, and McGovern subsequently lost to Richard Nixon. This was an interesting button from his 1972 presidential campaign as a Democrat. The context in which I mentioned him, and you could catch the podcast on Friday morning. I put a link to it up yesterday. Just go to wabcradio.com/Frank, or just search The Other Side of Midnight in any podcast app. Was a caller, and it was a very good question. In the first hour of Ask Frank Anything, a caller mentioned politicians who admitted mistakes. And I thought the two best ways to handle that as a politician were John Lindsay in his 1969 mayoral reelection campaign and John F. Kennedy in 1963. So it's just so funny that I was just talking about Lindsay, and then here's this button from 72. Now, the other button of a New Yorker that was running for president around that time, I don't know if this, I think it was from 1968, was Nelson Rockefeller. Rocky for president. So it was kind of cool. I don't remember where I picked this up. I think it might have been in a antique store in Cape May, or somebody might have sent it to me. So thank you. I know the person that sent it to me. If it was somebody that sent it to me, he's no longer with us. But as I was looking through my buttons, you know what else I found? Look at this. This is a People's Party button. Do you remember the People's Party? This was an attempt at a left-wing third party in the 1970s, I believe, also in 1972. Certainly, it was an interesting year. A lot of people running. And do you know who the presidential candidate of? I don't remember if he ran for president or vice president. Do you know who the presidential candidate of the People's Party was in 1972? On a platform of disarmament, free university education, and healthcare? Dr. Benjamin Spock. Dr. Benjamin Spock. So this was a figure from his campaign for president when Spock ran for president. Unfortunately, it was an issue for him because they said he wasn't born in this country. He was born on the planet Vulcan, apparently. But I'm just kidding. This is obviously Mr. Spock from Star Trek. And, you know, it's funny. A lot of people don't even really remember Benjamin Spock these days. And for years, certainly when I was growing up, he was the go-to source on baby advice, on parenting advice, on absolutely everything. So it's kind of cool that he ran for president, and here he is. Here's his button. I am going to be on the air for president. I am going to be on the air tonight. One of my guests is going to be Secretary Wilbur Ross, the former Secretary of Commerce in the Trump administration. Hey, John Paul asked, "How's your Uncle Steve? Is he a Marano? Did he remarry yet?" He's not a Marano. He is a Syriaco. He is on my mom's side, my mother's brother. It's funny that you ask about him, John Paul, because we just saw him at church. And it wasn't the church that we normally go to because we got a little bit of a late start. And we went to another church, and it happened to be his, and we saw him at church just now. Grossman Files, what's up? We hope you were able to hook up with Klein. Not yet. I don't believe so yet. I have to double check my correspondence with him, but I don't believe so yet. Christopher Wingster, the gray hair ages you. Yeah, I would say so. Christopher Wingster writes again, Wilbur Ross is old. Yes, he is. That's why I wanted to do this interview, because he makes me feel younger in comparison. We see what folks are saying in Facebook. Nancy Rowe has on Instagram rather, and Nancy Rowe has a Nixon button, and that is about it. Okay, so there's that. Now, so tune into tonight's show. I'll be on starting at 1 a.m. I hope people tune in. If you can, please tune in online through wabcradio.com. That's wabcradio.com. Special note for our listeners in Baltimore who've been listening on WCBM. I know Trudy listens there, and a number of other people that participate on this page. Starting either Monday or Tuesday. We are no longer to be heard on WCBM in Baltimore. I hate to leave the station because I love this station, but it's more of an internal thing at the station about different personalities there and management that are no longer there anymore. But I really had a great opportunity being on that station, and I loved being on that station, and I loved connecting with and hearing from so many of you. So we're in talks with another Baltimore station. I'm sure you can guess which one. So if you want to either suggest that WCBM bring us back or that this other Baltimore station pick us up, feel free to do so. It's no big deal. You know, we're adding stations all the time. We're on WGN in Chicago recently, one of the best talk stations in America. Certainly have a lot of other great affiliates, WCCO in Norfolk and KMOX in St. Louis. And next week, we're going to be actually in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we're going to be starting on another station with a very big signal. I can't say which one it is yet because they currently are airing another format and they don't want to. They have not yet announced that they're flipping to talk, but it's a very big station. I'm not going to say which one. John Paul writes, "Thanks, Frank. Will you be increasing Frank? Ask Frank anything to 1.5 hours. 1 hour is just too short." No, we're going to keep it as an hour for now. Always leave people wanting more. That's my philosophy. But I tell you what, I am going to be doing this live event with Elliot Gordon in November, and that will feature a live edition of Ask Frank Anything. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's Thursday, November 14th, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Park East Synagogue. And I hope some folks here will come to that. And we're going to be doing a live edition of Ask Frank Anything. So if you want to get tickets, you can go here, eventbrite.com/e/Frank. Frank. You see the link there. Okay. If anybody wants to follow it, you can there. Or if that's too much to keep track of, you can just go to Google and type in Frank Morano, Elliot Gordon, and get tickets. And I'll be doing a live Ask Frank Anything. And I don't know if it's practical to do this, but I'd like to stay as long as possible, as long as people have questions, as long as they're interesting questions. So hopefully I'll see a lot of you there. Hopefully we buy tickets. If you buy tickets today, this is the last day for the early bird discount. After tomorrow, ticket prices go up a little bit. I'd love to see a bunch of you there wearing your Frank Morano gear. If you want to wear some Frank Morano gear, whether it's t-shirts or the hat like Fred Rubino has here, go to WABCRadiostore.com. That's WABCRadiostore.com. Hey, I want to welcome, well, not officially, but I want to congratulate my brother Alexander, who got engaged yesterday. There you see him pictured with his brand new fiancée, Marley, who is a wonderful person, and I've viewed as my sister-in-law for a long time now, but as of yesterday, they decided to make it official. They're going to be getting married. So my brother Alexander proposed to Marley yesterday. She said yes. She had a lab-grown diamond. How could she not? And we had a surprise engagement party in Brooklyn yesterday, where they both live. That was a lot of fun. There's Marley and Me Yesterday, which was also the name of a motion picture, not necessarily based on Marley, the person that I know, or me, but it was a fun party nevertheless. If you want to check out the Racket Report podcast, please feel free to do so. My most recent edition is a good one. I think it's a good one. And you could just search the Racket Report on any podcast app, or go to WABCRadio.com/podcast/the Racket Report. Or chances are, honestly, if you go to Google and type the Racket Report and Frank Morano, it comes right up. My most recent guest is Anthony Benji Aralata. This is the second time I've had him on, and this is a wild interview indeed. He was the boss of the Springfield mob, basically, the Springfield, Massachusetts mob. He was technically a captain in the Genovese family, and he became a cooperator, and yet still lives, basically a rat. He still lives in Springfield, and there's still mobsters up there in Springfield. Now, how do you do that? How do you rat on the mob and then not go into the witness security program, just live right there in Springfield? Well, I asked him, and his answer will surprise you. So I hope you will listen to that interview and check it out. And it turns out the guy that killed Whitey Bulger in prison was a very close criminal associate of his. I asked him why he thought he did it, and his take on whether or not there was a broader conspiracy to kill Whitey Bulger. Check that out when you can. I thought it was a really fascinating discussion. Brandon says, congratulations to them, presumably Alexander and Marley. Absolutely. Absolutely. Michael, Marley's very cute. She definitely is. Bev, congratulations to the happy couple. Shelley, no, I am on tonight. I am going to be interviewing Wilbur Ross, and Jeremy Murphy is joining me as well. I just have to go back and look at our previous conversation and make sure I don't go too much into anything that we've gone into previously. So I will be on, absolutely 100% on. Hey, we were watching CBS Sunday Morning this morning, and they did a piece on the actress, I believe her name is Natasha Lyonne. Do you know who her father was? Aaron Braunstein, the old radio talk show host, and he was such an interesting character. And I knew Aaron a little bit, but I hadn't seen him in years. But I went, apparently he died 10 years ago, which I was sorry to see. And I was telling my wife some stories about him. And I used to see him at Joe Franklin's restaurant every month. And he was a character. He would do these shows from Sardi's, and I would go down to those once in a while. He was interesting. If you read the obituary that I found online, you know what the first line is? An interesting New York character left this world on October 10th. I love interesting New York characters. Those are my people. And whatever, I would love that to be the first line of my obituary. Frank Morano, an interesting New York character, left this world on, hopefully not for a very long time. And then hopefully I can do something where I get cryogenically frozen. Brandon, is Alex really a communist, or is that a Sliwa story? It's a good question, Brandon. I don't want to really speak too much for him. I'd love for him to, he doesn't really go on Facebook. He is on Instagram, so I don't know if he's watching. Let me see. But the one that was more of a Marxist was my brother Nicholas. Nicholas, though, Dr. Nicholas Morano, doesn't really talk about politics much anymore. And he used to love to argue about politics with anyone and everyone. Doesn't discuss it at all. Doesn't discuss government or anything like that. Now, maybe that's a reflection of him getting older and needing to pay bills and realizing that Marxism doesn't necessarily offer the answers that. Did you want to come in, honey?
Not if you're doing a live video.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
My hair's a mess.
All right. When Carmen wakes up, we'll go?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, so I don't know if that's a reflection of him realizing Marxism doesn't work when you need to pay bills and things like that. Or, I asked him because I had some friends over and they were expressing very right-wing political views, and Nicholas didn't say anything. And I messaged Dr. Morano the next day and I said, I thought that was interesting that you didn't respond to whatever anybody else was saying. And I said, I know they were saying stuff that you really vehemently disagree with. And his response was, yeah, I don't really argue with anyone anymore about politics and things like that because it just seems so pointless. So I have not really heard anything about socialism or anything like that from my brother Nicholas in a while. He does still seem, he is rather, he does have an admiration for Marx. I will say that. So, but as far as Alexander goes, I don't know that he would label himself as a communist, but I think he probably would label himself a socialist. I don't want to speak for him though, but he's very involved with transportation alternatives. He volunteers with them. He's part of that whole downtown Brooklyn crowd. I don't think he's a member of DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, but he does usually support DSA-backed candidates in Brooklyn. But I can't really speak for him, but he may be. This is always the short answer to your question. That's that. All right. What else did I want to bring to you? Oh, I had a great time at the Carnegie Club on Thursday night with several friends of mine. My friend Pat Russo, who was a very prominent attorney here in New York. He works for Windles Marks, and speaking of Marks, and he ran for city council in Brooklyn in 2003 and 2005, and he's on the left there. And I backed his opponent, Vinnie Gentile, in both of those elections, but Pat is a great guy and has become a good friend. Then he's standing next to Mike Sumbluskis. He's the one without a jacket with a necktie. He's actually running for Congress right now against Gerald Nadler. A great guy. If you live in Manhattan, consider voting for him. If you don't live in Manhattan, consider giving him a couple bucks, and that's me. And there's my friend Jason Goldman, who I call Jack, even though no one else does. And we got together at the Carnegie Club and had a great time. We had a couple of drinks and a cigar, and Jack was kind enough to pick up the bill, which was very, very nice. So good seeing everybody there. I did want to make sure that I informed you of, I haven't really kept you up to date on the latest with Gary, our crazy. Oh, but by the way, before I move on from the discussion of the Carnegie Club, see that picture there? You see, I'm wearing a jacket, and that jacket that was 2 days ago, it still smells like smoke. So for any of the cigar smokers watching, I'd love to know if you have a suggestion for, without going to get it dry cleaned or professionally cleaned, if you have a suggestion as to how to get the cigar smoke smell out of the jacket that I was wearing that day. If you've been in this position, would Febreze work? Will I have to do something else? Let me know. Otherwise, I hate to take it to the dry cleaner, because aside from the smell, it's clean. So I hate to do that. Let me know if you have a suggestion. So I have not updated you on the latest with Gary, who is my a guy that lives 2 blocks away, who's basically a professional protester. I came home the other day, and he had been out and about at 5:30 in the morning, yelling, scaring off the neighbors, apparently. And he's been, so far in the last week or two, the people on our block have called the police on him twice, and he's been getting increasingly. This is what the message was when I came home at 5:42 in the morning, or a little bit after that, 6 o'clock. But my neighbor messaged me at 5:30 in the morning. Oh boy, Gary's outside yelling at you. He's outside my house at 5:30 in the morning. I don't know what you said today, but he is pissed. So that was one day last week, or no, the week before last. And then apparently one of my other neighbors writes, it might be, Frank, it might be worth knocking on Gary's door and having a heart-to-heart. He paid a visit to Winchester this morning, carrying on about Marano's influence on everything that's wrong with the world. My other neighbor writes, I legit couldn't leave the house because he was standing in front of my car. He was mad at something Frank did or said. Another neighbor writes, I asked him to leave to no avail. Another neighbor writes, he was saying sexually explicit things about you, Frank. Then they're going back and forth. I really couldn't make out what he was saying, but he claims we are our block's name, Mafia. So it was, he's been getting increasingly annoying. I'm not going to repeat all the things my neighbor said about him, but now apparently the police have come twice in the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 times, just to deal with the Gary problem. So I thought we were in a good place, because I ran into him as I was coming out of the barbershop the other day, and he was fine. But evidently he's more adamant than ever about disturbing as many of my neighbors as possible. I don't mind what he does here. I mean, I don't like when he disturbs my neighbors at 5:30 in the morning when some of them are still sleeping. But I also don't like when he curses in front of children and that sort of thing. I think that's really, really, I mean, obviously he's got issues, but I really don't like that. All right. What else? Anybody have any questions? Put a question in the comments if you have it. Oh, my mom's watching. Mom, as soon as Carmine wakes up, we are coming to the fair to see you. Hopefully, you guys are having a good time. So, well, she gave me the heart. Thank you, Mom. All right. I am very excited about what I am hearing from this Donald Trump campaign. Sure, he's saying wacky things, but I am very pleased that the co-chairs of his transition team are Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. Those are, if you look in the course of the last 15 years, maybe the last 10 years, the three political figures that have run for president that most speak to the issues that I care about and that are being ignored, it's Donald Trump, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Donald Trump in 2016, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard. And to think all three of them are now teamed up, I think it's pretty exciting. So if I lived in a swing state, I would absolutely vote for Donald Trump, even for all of his craziness, even for all of his faults, because the primary problem that I saw with the Trump campaign, and the Trump administration, was he hired the worst possible people for every single job. And that's why I was reluctant to support him this time around. But if Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are actually going to be the ones populating his administration and hiring people, boy, oh boy, I feel pretty good about that. Brandon, good old Gary, you did look like a mob boss yesterday. Did you ever find out about Tom from the Bronx? I have made a little bit of progress on that. I'm still waiting for one more piece of the puzzle to update everyone on Tom from the Bronx. And I was really hoping to get my hard drive back to pay a tribute to Tom from the Bronx. And I've left it at this hard drive place for 2 months now. And they were ordering a special hard drive or port for me. And so this is what they wrote me yesterday or this morning. I texted them to follow up. It said they're still working on it. Oh, come on, you're awake. Oh, come say hello to everybody. I love your shirt.
Oh, sorry. Right there, Daddy. Right there.
Oh, there you go. You got a social tea biscuit. There you go.
Getting crumbs on me.
Want to say hello to everybody? Say hi.
Hello.
You know who's watching? Grandma. She's finished her workday at the fair, but she's waiting at the fair for us
Grandma, we're coming to you.
because she wants to see you.
We're coming.
So say
Let's
hi.
go, Daddy.
Hi,
Wrap it up.
Grandma. Hi, Grandma. Okay.
Hi.
Listen to me on radio tonight. And yeah, Felix says Trump doesn't need yes men in his administration. RFK and Tulsi are a nice start. Yeah, agreed. Hey, do you know who Donald Trump is? Do you like him? Okay. Should we go to the fair? Let's go. Let's go. Okay. And we're going to the Richmond County Fair. If you're around there, please come say hello. Unless you're Gary or otherwise creepy, don't. Everyone else, I'll see you on the radio. You know that Facebook is going to suppress this video from being seen. So to the 18 people that are watching this, 15 on Facebook, 3 on the YouTube, and how many on the Instagram? 4 on the Instagram. Please share this. Share this, share this, share this. That's the only way to beat the algorithm. To all 18 of you, please click like, please comment, please share. That's the only way that we can beat the algorithm, much like Brandon is always kind enough to do. You know, Brandon could be a strong candidate for Listener of the Year. We're going to do something nice when we come up with the Listener of the Year. It's really he and Ellen are leading the way as far as I can see. There's Brandon's talking about how to become a superstar and get concierge services. Click the overview button under the comments box, then scroll to the bottom and click the subscribe button. Please send stars if you're watching. Please share. Please subscribe. Please buy tickets to our upcoming show with Elliot Gordon in November. I'll see you on the radio, except for those of you who I'll see at the Richmond County Fair.